So in this video, we're going to learn how to calculate inflation. And just a refresher, remember from the last video, the definition of inflation is that inflation is the natural phenomenon that prices increase over time. So if you have a savings account that looks like this, unfortunately, the price of everything will go like this. So let's jump right into a real world example here. And what we're going to do is, let's say that you save up $5,000 into an account and then you don't add anything to it for 10 years. So what we're going to look for is at the end of 10 years, how much buying power will the account have lost if inflation averaged 3% year over year from that period. So again, there might be some years where it's more, some years when it's less, but we're going to say in this case that it averaged 3% year over year for 10 years. So let's take a look at that story problem. So $5,000 accounts buying power after 10 years of 3% inflation. So we're going to have the blue represent your savings account. So again, we're not adding to this. So it's $5,000 and after 10 years, it's still going to be $5,000. And then the green is going to be the buying power needed to stay at the same value. So again, because the prices go up means you're going to need more money to afford. So this is going to say how much money you need in your savings to stay at that same value of $5,000 today. And so again, the key here is 3% inflation. And so this acts the exact same as an interest rate would. So in our compound interest and our interest unit, this 3% inflation rate is going to be the exact same as if it was an interest rate. So let's graph this over time. So over the 10-year period, the math would add up to $6,719. So that means that we would need $6,719 in 10 years on 3% inflation to stay the same at value-wise as $5,000. So remember, the original question is how much buying power did we lose? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our new price range that we would need to be at. So 6,719 minus our original $5,000 account. And then that's going to tell us, once we do that, that we lost $1,719 of value over that 10-year period from our account. So how do you calculate this? This is what we're going to learn in this video. It's a very simple equation, and this is also no different than an interest equation. So first we're going to have M, and that's going to represent the money in the account. And so that's going to be our money in our account, multiplied by I, which is going to be our interest rate, and then held to an exponent of Y, which is going to be the number of years gone by. So you only need to know three things to plug into this equation. And so let's look at that original problem again. So let's look at the question, what is the new level of buying power your $5,000 account would need to remain at the same value after 10 years of 3% inflation? So we only need to find three things. So let's start by just finding M, the money in the account. So money in the account is $5,000. So we're just going to put in 5,000 right here. Second thing, let's find the interest rate. So we're going to multiply it by the interest rate, or the inflation rate in this case, which is 3%. And remember, one thing to note is interest rate or inflation rate is always in terms of 1 point something, which is the interest rate. So in this case, the interest rate is 3%. So we would write that as 1.03. If it was 8%, we'd write it at 1.08. If it was 20%, we'd write it as 1.20. So that's one thing to note when doing interest rates. And then finally, let's find the number of years. And in this case, it's 10 years. So we can just put that as an exponent right here. And then you can calculate this. And what we're going to do is we're going to do this calculation using Desmos. So let's hop into Desmos and do this quick equation. Here, and we're just going to have Desmos calculate our answer real quick for us using that equation. So we had 5,000 was the money in the account, multiplied by the inflation rate, which was 3%, but we write that as 1.03. And then we'd put this to an exponent on the outside here. And if you don't know how to do this in Desmos, just go down here to this keyboard right here, show keypad. And then if you just click this AB button right here, it puts the exponent right there. And so we're just going to put the years here, and the years was 10. So that gives us our 6,719 number. So that means in 10 years, at a 3% inflation rate, a $5,000 account, you would need to add $1,719 to it, because a $5,000 value would now have to be $6,719 to have the same buying power as it did 10 years ago. We're going to do 2 more quick examples here. So buckle up and then get ready to take the quiz. Do these pretty quick. Same exact thing. So first question, how much would a $10,000 account need to be at in 20 years with an average of 6% year-over-year inflation to stay at the same buying power? So again, 3 things. Money in the account first. So money in the account is 10,000. So we're just going to go 10,000. And one thing to note, Desmos doesn't do commas. So don't put a comma in here. Just type it out. And then we're going to multiply that by the inflation rate. So look for that. 6% right here. So remember that's 1.06. And then put that to an exponent. Remember exponent right down here. So click the keypad. Then click the AB, and it puts it to the exponent. We just need to find how many years, and it's asking in 20 years. So how much would a $10,000 account need to be at in 20 years to stay at the same buying power with 6%? So that means, that shows you the power of inflation, that a $10,000 account, if inflation was 6%, which is pretty high, as we saw in last video, in 20 years, the account would need to be at $32,000 to stay at the same buying power as $10,000. And so that's how you do those type. Now we're going to do one just with the interest rate in the years. And this is going to give us a percentage change. So this second one asks, how much value is lost over 25 years if the inflation rate averaged 5% year over year? So this one, we're just going to do this part right here. We don't even need to worry about an account value, because we're just finding a percentage increase. So 25 years and a 5% inflation. So do the inflation part first, 5% year over year. So you're just going to go 1.05 and then put it to the exponent right here. And the number of years was 25. And so this is a little bit confusing, but this is going to say this is a 338% increase. If we take this number and times it by 100, this is how you find the percent value, the percent increase. So you go that times 100. It's because this gets it to a percent. So that tells us that the buying power of any account would need to increase 338% over 25 years to stay at the same value. If you want to plug in a, so let's say $10,000 account. And so again, that means it'd need to be $33,000. If you did a $20,000 account, it'd need to be $67,000. So it's just going up by this 3.38 number, or 338%. So on the quiz, there's going to be some questions like this and some where you don't even have an account, but it's just asking you to convert it to a percentage. So hope this video helped, and as always, have a nice day.